Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GLORIO Chat, the best anime podcast on the internet. We are deep into the spring 2022 season. I think some shows, we're up to episode 8.
We are knee deep in it.
I think Kongming maybe is up to episode 8.
Neck deep.
I do feel like perhaps this batch of episodes that we just got did feel a lot of mid-season episodes for better or worse.
Yeah.
But
sure, yeah, you could say that about some of the shows on this list, perhaps.
Yeah, some of them, but yeah.
Some of these shows feel like they're gearing up.
I think some of them did have some standouts, but which ones are we talking about? You'll have to keep listening and see. So yeah. And like we were actually literally just saying before this, we're still watching all these, so there's a lot of shows.
Yeah.
It's quite an interesting season. So
sometimes we have had seasons where we got to spin 90 minutes out of like 4 shows that we are cumulatively watching.
I got to dig through news stories or whatever, right?
Yeah,
and then dive into all the backlog stuff.
Exactly. Yeah,
yes.
you know what? I'll say this. This is a great indication of how good this season is that Iro and I have not been forced to talk about Big O or Gun Sword once in this whole season, despite the fact that we are still watching that as part of our...
The backlog has been pushed off of the set list.
As part of our backlog project.
On the flip side, I have not had time to watch more Thunderbolt Fantasy, which is a negative.
That is true.
Now that is a tragedy.
We'll get there. So, anyway, before we get into our full-on anime discussion, let's introduce everybody. I'm Jel. I'm joined by Iro.
I'm still here. I'm not dead yet.
Still with us. Well, we're joined by G.
What's good, everybody?
And for this episode, we have Artemis.
It's been a minute. Good to be here.
It has indeed.
Good to have you.
Yeah. So, let's get into all this anime we got to talk about. And we can start by talking about yet another show we've never talked about on the podcast before.
Artemis here to start off with a banger. What's the hottest show that she's been watching?
Well, it's
got some hard-hitting takes on...
I wouldn't really call it a banger. I dropped it just for reference. I think episode 7 is airing this week or has aired this week, so I dropped it around the halfway mark. Which
okay.
Now,
further than the 3-episode rule, but not enough to make it across the finish line.
Right.
Yeah.
To
tell everybody what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yes,
okay.
fine.
The show is Don't Hurt Me, My Healer.
Yes, not
which
to be
I have heard some
confused
things,
with
but
Healer
what is
Girl,
the...
which is a different show.
Oh my goodness.
So
it's
a comedy. And
like
if you
this
watch
season.
the first 5 minutes of the first episode, you'll figure out what it's about immediately. But basically, it's set in sort of that classic fantasy JRPG type of world.
Yeah.
It's not isekai, it's just, that setting.
Merely RPG land.
Right. And the 2 main characters are Carla, who is a dark elf / healer, and Elvin, who is a swordsman. Just totally classic archetypes, right?
So allow me to guess from the title here. Is the joke that she's supposed to be the healer, but instead she comically injures him every time she tries to heal him?
Well, sort of. It's more like she's just a flat-out terrible person.
Okay, because you beat me too, because I was saying the other common joke based on MMOs is that
the healer's an asshole.
Is people who play MMOs, who play healers in MMOs, are often either control freak jackasses or they are extremely tired parents who feel like they are responsible for hurting everybody else who's too dumb to not get themselves killed.
Yeah. So whether or not Carla means to hurt people is kind of up to interpretation, but her personality, her attitude is just she's a flat out terrible person.
Gotcha.
And she annoys the crap out of absolutely everyone. And she ends up forming a party with Alvin because she accidentally, I don't know whether that is accidental or not, curses him, and so he cannot go within a certain amount of feet for her or he will die. So it's close proximity kind of comedy
right,
going on there as well.
Okay.
Right.
And there are a couple of other running gags in the show, like the fact that you never see Elvin's face once.
Oh, I'm looking at this. He's literally like a
Okay.
Dark Souls
Just plate
knight.
armor.
He has
Like-
Just
no,
like
he has
straight up
he's
helmet
an armored
on.
swordsman, so he has his helmet on, and every time he takes it off, there's like an object in the foreground that's blocking.
Okay.
Sure, that's okay.
The implication being that he is so incredibly normal looking that they may as well just not show his face.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
well,
that,
it
that
sounds
actually
like...
sounds pretty good so far.
Right.
Yeah,
so,
but-
so that's fine. So I was watching it for 6 episodes, so it was fine. The problem is it's just fine. And there are some really good comedy shows already
Yeah.
in this season's lineup, and
It's a competitive
kind of-
lineup.
Yeah, and it's just kind of the same joke repeated in a variety of different ways. And maybe more damaging is that a lot of the jokes take a really long time to get to the punchline. So instead of like a bunch of rapid fire sketches like you might have in kind of a Yonkoma based adaptation, it's like 1 or 2 jokes stretched out over the full
man.
20
That's-
odd minutes.
This is,
No, please.
Azumanga Daioh perfected this
Right.
years ago.
Right.
The anime adaptation of the 4 Coma, they did it. They figured it out. And, like, part of that formula is you fit, like, 4 of those jokes per episode. Maybe even more, depending on how
Right.
rapid fire you are.
But these are like kind of 2-ish per episode, and the punchlines like are sometimes worth it, but more often I will kind of weakly chuckle as opposed to like a belly laugh, which would
Right.
make it worth it, I guess.
I mean, I think this is what
It's
we've always...
just- yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, it's just it's just very dialogue driven, and so by the time they get there, and you've guessed already what the punchline is because it's always basically the same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And, like, sometimes that can be funny when you know the punchline, but that requires really good delivery, right? Like, I
Right.
think a lot of, we're going to talk about a lot of comedies this season, but, I think about something like, a Kaguya-sama or even a Tiger and Bunny, where, like, some of the fun of the joke is that because you understand the character dynamics so well, you actually do see the joke coming, and then what makes it funny is, like, how they almost lean into you knowing, or the delivery is really snappy, or they don't take too long to get there. Once the writer is confident that you know the punchline, then delivering it. And so, I don't know. Yeah, it's just like in a season like this with such tough competition.
Yeah, I don't mind the inevitability of the punchline so much. It's just that it takes that long to get there, and then
Right.
it's not really snappy enough
Yeah.
to sell itself for like 12 whole episodes. They should have either made it just a short, like a 10-minute short
Right.
episode format, or put in more jokes to make up for the fact that
Okay.
they're kind of all the same.
So
But it did neither. So
this is a drop not because it got awful or anything, just that it's not like
it's just not good enough.
not doing enough in a
Yeah.
season full of great comedies. You
yeah.
gotta really
If
step
it
up
was a
your game.
weaker season, I might have stuck it out. But yeah, it's just
No, I mean,
Yeah.
it's,
I got enough.
comedy's hard.
Someone's
Like,
got to be left behind for the bear.
yeah, yeah. There are some
Yeah,
good side characters though. The side characters are some of them.
I had heard when it came out, it actually did kind of sound like the kind of show I'd be into, but I'm
that
already
you would
watching
that
like
it would be a gel show. Right?
I'm already watching like 7 shows, and it just like completely fell off my radar. So
Yeah. The best joke of the series is one that's never verbalized, and that is every single title of the episodes are like 150 words long.
Oh, jeez.
So you see it flash up on
yeah.
the screen.
All right. Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
yeah, like a full like a
Like
novel
like
title.
like the title of every
episode.
episode is kind of the synopsis of the whole episode.
Oh my God, I see.
So
Okay.
like if you
Now I
like
see.
wiki it,
Holy
you'll
shit.
probably see like in this world where monsters are rampant, Alvin is trying to make his adventure in a land ravaged by monsters and other such baddies, and it just kind of keeps going and going.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's like I said. I mean, it sounds pretty good talking about it, but I guess in practice, when you're stretching those
Yeah.
kind of jokes out,
It just
spreading them too thin, it's
it just
yeah.
kind of outwore its welcome.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, I guess
Well, Eero and I have a much higher tolerance for punishment, and
You might
it's-
really like it.
It's still probably better than the next show.
Oh no, I'm sorry, Artemis. I wasn't talking about your show. I was using that to link into the next show on this list.
Yeah. So let's get our weekly Kyoukai Senki update here.
Geopolitics corner.
It's time for the geopolitics corner.
Yeah, the geopolitics hour.
Okay.
I'll ask the same question I ask every time. Did anything interesting happen since we last talked about Kyoukai Senki?
No, but I'm still going to talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, so of the 2 episodes of Kyoukai Senki we watched, the first one is basically meant to be the sort of like triumphant healing moment for Amo. You know, the like his friends
after he
stick
became
to
edgy.
his after he so as a quick recap, Amo, the protagonist who seemingly died at the end of season 1, was revealed to have survived, but marked and changed by his experience. We had a flashback episode that reveals that Amo
Killed
became
someone.
dark and edgy because he shot someone, to save a bunch of hilariously stereotypical children. And this episode is basically meant to be the like healing moment, right? The Simone does the Giga Drill Breaker moment of the show. You know, the obligatory like hero is in his darkest hour, but thanks to his nakama,
he'll bounce back stronger than ever.
Exactly. And so they do this by setting up this premise of like, they find another one of these. There was a plot point in season 1 about what I don't remember their name, but they're basically like occupied cooperative towns, basically towns in which the Japanese are allowed some degree of autonomy within the territory of these occupied nations, right? Like, and so in last season we saw one that was occupied by the Chinese and was again leaning into some really deeply problematic, maybe nationalist stereotypes about how Japan perceives the nation of China. And this time around, we are seeing a Russian,
right? The Eurasian military,
the Eurasian,
zone.
And this one is good because the Russian administrator of this Japanese town recognizes the inherent superiority of the Nippon culture, and actually wishes to integrate himself into the Nippon culture.
Some
to
real
the point of
bad timing on this, huh?
To the point of taking a Japanese wife to really show just how much he just loves and respects the nature, the culture of Japan. And
right, he's
not problematic
they
at
do
all.
the whole like on paper this town is a corporation and they're all my employees, but I'm really just trying to save them.
Yes, I'm the good CEO.
I'm a regular Schindler over here.
I was gonna say they're pulling a Schindler's List.
They're totally
here.
pulling a Schindler's like thing with this guy. I mean, the dude literally introduces himself by doing a Japanese bow, which okay, I mean that's hard to tell because I feel like. Look, we've all watched enough anime, and I'm sure we've all seen the trope of like anime that clearly does not take place in Japan.
In a vacuum,
the characters
fine.
still do Japanese mannerisms, and the American who bows when he greets you.
Right, but in context of everything else, it's just
it becomes increasingly weird. Yes. Anyways, it all ends with like the Americans hired some baddie mercenaries to attack the town. What reason? I don't even remember. Again, as another recap, no explanation is ever given for
I believe
why
they're testing their new AI.
Yes, they're testing their new AI grunts. Yes, and so they send this like cartoonishly evil-looking mercenary.
Scientist
he's got
man,
the like, he kind of looks like Greed from Full Metal Alchemist. Like he's got the round glasses and like the kind of like hawkish features, and being evil, I guess.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's like
and the heroes use their new upgrades.
Yes,
to
they got
fight
mid-season
them all
upgrades.
off.
In a fight that's like not even remotely dangerous. Like the heroes don't struggle in the slightest. There's no risk. They just win, and that's it. Amo is healed. He has overcome his PTSD,
Right, no, because he sees the dude's wife give birth or whatever.
Right, yes, the Russian dude's Japanese wife is pregnant, like it's like 9 months pregnant with their child, literally born in the middle of the battle.
Of course, and then the baby grasping his finger or whatever. He
Yes.
goes, I'm back to happy Abo.
Yes, and
All of the darkness has been purged from my spirit.
And the ghost of Shinzo Abe looks on approvingly
from the sky. It's wild.
Healed by the improving the birth rate, right?
Yes, yes, quite literally. It's stupid. This show sucks. It continues to suck. Like the thing they do is like once again, because they're fighting a manned unit and not just an AI controlled unit. Once again, Amo like cuts open the cockpit of the evil mercenary, but instead of killing him, he lets him go to show he's become good boy Amo again. This show has like the astounding lack of substance this show has continues to amaze me every week. And then next episode is the kind of filler episode that in a good anime would be really fun, but in a bad anime is just tortuous to watch.
Yes.
And that is that they find out that it is like about the 1 year anniversary since the little mascot helper AI were created. And so to thank them for all the help, along the journey, they want to throw a surprise birthday party for the AI. But because they're super AI who can hack all types of electronics,
all the cams and phones and everything,
they have to plan out this birthday party in a like air-gapped room with no like electronics in it.
So it's this joke stretched out for 20 minutes of everyone trying to avoid all electronics and
I mean, that is a pretty good concept on paper.
It's a great concept, like, but in a good anime.
We hate all of these characters, and the AI buddies are insufferable, and...
Like, this would have been an okay episode in Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise.
Right.
Or perhaps Digimon Ghost Game.
Sure.
Or any anime that you don't actively hate the cast.
Yes, like, there are, like, a couple of okay jokes of, like, the AIs resorting to, like, blackmail and bribery to try to get, like... the humans to spill the beans, right? Like, one of the AIs is literally like, hey man, I'll help you find a girlfriend if you tell me like what you're planning. And it's like it almost works. It gets a little dark because one of the AI confronts the like older veteran leader of the resistance, and we find out that he's estranged from his wife and child, who he abandoned to join the resistance to save glorious Nippon. And the AI is literally like, "Hey, I'll put you on a private channel with your estranged wife and child if you tell me what you're planning." And it's like, are you telling me you could have always done this?
You could have done this at any point.
Always have helped this man reconcile with his family, and you simply chose not to? Like, that's actually insanely dark. Anyway, it sucks. It culminates in the typical, like, the AI... come to the comical like conclusion that they don't love us anymore, they're gonna throw us out, we're gonna go on strike because our humans don't love us anymore. And it all ends with
goofy
it's a goofy misunderstanding. In the end, they throw the birthday party, everybody's healed,
we've got a virtual cake.
Yes, and
virtual
then
champagne.
At the end, it's revealed that the leader of the Japanese resistance, or not the leader, the financer of the Japanese resistance, has secretly been in talks with the other factions
all along.
Bum bum bum.
Bum bum.
Man, what a fucking dog shit anime. Like, god damn, I hate this anime so much.
Hey, you're the one watching it. You guys have shit taste.
I try to tell them every week. You guys don't. You're doing this to yourself.
See, here's the thing, Artemis. You watched 6 episodes of a thing, and you decided that's enough for me. I can stop. Yeah. For Iro and I, if we made it halfway through something,
over halfway,
it would be insane to stop. Because why did we sunk cost? We are the patron saints of sunk cost fallacy. What would it mean about all the garbage we watched if we stopped now?
This is like you walked into the casino and you spent 90% of your money, and you're trying to use the 10% to get your money back, and it's just not going to happen.
No, we're not even trying to get our money back at this point. It's just
No.
like, well, might as well get rid of this 10%.
Yeah, like what else are we gonna do?
So
with
I can
this
say
10%?
that I got rid of on 100% of my money.
Yeah. Artemis, we have a rule. Eero and I have a rule. We call it the Gundam Build Divers rule. And
Yes, I have
This
heard of
is-
this rule. Yes.
it is that we finished the anime Gundam Build Divers, a very bad Gundam spin-off anime. And if we could finish that anime, then surely we couldn't. Any other
Surely.
bad anime we watch.
I mean, is Kyoukai Senki worse than Gundam Build Divers?
Oh yeah, totally.
It's got
Well,
the
then-
same
Oh, it is?
writer.
It's way worse.
Then you should have that should give you legal reason to
No,
drop it.
see, because here's the thing.
According
I'm
to
s-
the BAME concorded. Like,
I'm sick, and I want to drag Eero into this quagmire with me, because here's the thing. If we finish Kyoukai Senki, that means we get to
The bar's
rename
even
the
lower?
Gundam Build Divers to the Kyoukai Senki rule.
That,
and
then
that
the bar's
means
even lower.
we'll never be able to drop a bad anime ever again.
All right.
Look, Gundam the Witch from Mercury is going to be airing soon, and for all we know, that Gundam might be worse than Kyoukai Senki. And if that's true,
Surely
we
not.
have to make sure we watch it to
Surely
the end.
not.
So,
how dare
Well.
you bring up such a possibility?
That'll be another discussion for another time then.
Indeed.
But yes.
In the meantime, we have a good geopolitical.
yeah, let's talk about the good geopolitics.
Yeah. So
Galactic heroes. Do you know what I
Yes.
say?
So
yes,
we
the back
continue-
half of the geopolitical power
We're
hour
back.
here.
Yes.
Where-
So the
where are we
first
at
of the two
on this
episodes of
one?
Legends of the Galactic Heroes culminates in the conclusion of the FPA's inquiry of Yang Wenli. Basically everything you remember about what's great about this moment is still here. Yang
yeah.
gives his magnificent speech about the nature
Spitting
of
fire.
patriotism, about this hollow concept that is nationalism, the idea of what is a nation. Is a nation a codex of ideals, or is a nation a collection of people, and that codex of ideals should be in service to those people. And of course, and again, Yang's whole thing about how, the very classic idea, right, of how patriotism is a very convenient tool when it is rhetoric spouted by the rich and powerful to convince the poor to die for their own personal
comfort.
gain.
Yeah.
Yes, and it all culminates in the successful invasion of Geiersburg at Iserlohn, which forcibly recalls Yang back. You get to watch all these like grimy, sweaty politicians squirm and twist themselves when they realize that the man they've been
they've screwed
insulting
themselves.
for like the last 2 weeks is now the man they need to beg to save them.
Yep.
Tragically, the PKC, the Patriotic Knight Corps, do not in fact attack Frederica Greenhill, and so we do not get to see one Ensign Mashengo fight off 10 men.
Oh,
Alas.
they cut that, huh?
They cut that. However,
that
we
for
do
time.
instead get a very interesting anecdote that I'm not sure if it's from the books, but I've been told that in some regards D&T is more true to the novels, and so I'd like to believe that this is probably something that the OVA cut for time. We are told that Jessica Edwards' martyrdom in Season 1 has basically inspired a political movement, right? An anti-war political party within the FPA. And we are told about a riot that they were involved in. And one of the characters very rhetorically asks, "Oh, those rioters? Oh, the Jessica Edwards party? Didn't they get violent in a riot like last year?" And this is when Bucock explains to us that no,
Right.
what instead happened is that the Jessica Edwards party, which tried initially to go through, official channels, they wrote they went through official channels and tried to write strongly worded letters to the FBA government, and basically try to do things as many centrist Democrats would tell you, the proper way of doing things. And when the FBA was able to just ignore that, because turns out peaceful protest is not that effective, the Jessica Edwards party took to the streets and started protesting in proper. However, still, might I mean, make clear, non-violent protest.
Right.
And so the FBA government simply deploys the PKC to attack the Jessica Edwards protests in the streets. And when the Edwards protesters naturally fight back because they're being attacked by a fascist right-wing militia, the media then captures this footage and uses this to spread disinformation about the violent behavior of the Jessica Edwards protesters, thus neutering their political capital.
Then the police show up and arrest all the protesters.
Specifically, arrests the protesters and ignores the PKC.
Does
this sound familiar?
Yikes.
Not at all.
It's
Legend of the Galactic Heroes, always relevant in
Legend of the
any time
Galactic
era.
Heroes is one of the greatest pieces of fiction ever written, and it never fucking misses. It has never missed, and it never will miss. Like, it's...
Bold words.
This goddamn show.
It's really good.
Shout out to Bucock.
Yeah.
True king there,
yes.
I guess.
We get a lot of good Bucock being an old man, and thus he can get away with anything he wants. Like, he's literally just saying shit in this episode. Like, I'm an old man. What are they gonna do? Fire me? Like,
Kill me?
Kill me? I already got one foot in the grave. Like...
Yes.
But
And so,
then we get episode 2, which is the beginning of the Gettysburg invasion.
So back to some space fighting, lasers
Yes.
flying through the void.
And
this was I was kind of curious how this panned out, because I think this was a pretty cool episode in the
Yes,
the
and
OVA,
this
but,
is one of those interesting things of, like, for all the, like, sort of things you can throw at D&T as an adaptation of the, legendary science fiction novel, D&T certainly benefits from a certain budget bump that allows a certain type of spectacle that the original OVAs could never really pull off. And I think the OVAs always found interesting ways to portray that scale, but sometimes it's just cool to see an interpretation of these events with a bunch of really shiny, bright lasers and
CG ships shooting each
yeah,
other.
like hundreds of ships in the air, dogfighting and stuff like that. And so, yeah, we kind of get that Battle of Gettysburg, right, where it initially starts off with Gettysburg and Iserlohn fortresses, these two Death Star space, castles, shooting lasers at each other. We get a very good, just kind of like turn-based battle of just like Admiral Kempf and Kazalnu just shouting fire at each other as they just literally slug each other in the face with this
Main
fucking
cannon,
planet blasting cannon. And, long story short, it eventually culminates in Kemp's plan, which is to circumvent Iserlohn, outpacing the Thor hammer's turn radius to attack from behind, disrupt its, like, planetary batteries, and
send in the ground troops.
Yeah, send in the armored panzer grenadiers to basically take Iserlohn from within. Basically the same plan that Yang used to take Iserlohn in the first place. That comes with the understanding that Iserlohn is simply too well defended to defeat through conventional means, and that the most effective way to take Iserlohn is to simply kill the people inside.
Yeah.
And of course, the episode ends exactly as you might expect, with the Panzer Grenadiers thinking they're hot shit. They actually do manage to breach Iserlohn in this version of the events, and so they are actually inside Iserlohn. Before it ends with like half a dozen of them being cut down like the fascist animals they are by none other than the goddamn Rosenritter, who have finally shown up in their shitbox
34
Zaku
episodes.
power armor, axes and knives ready to go. And that's where the episode ends.
Good times.
I'm so excited. We've waited so long for the Rosen Ritter
They
to show up
They
in
didn't
DNT.
really show up at all in season 1.
No, because in season 1, Yang uses a somewhat different plan to capture Iserlohn compared to the one he used in the OVA.
One with less axe murder.
Less axe murder, yes.
And therefore less fun, but yes.
Yes, and so we are now getting the axe murder that we have been so deprived of up till now. It's very good. The Rosen Ritter armor is like maroon in this version, and except for Shenkop's, which is more of a cerulean blue. He has a custom power armor. And I'm just so excited to watch a bunch of fascists get chopped up like meat.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, alright.
Well, that's
still fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The anime may be subtle, but you sure aren't.
It's not always that subtle.
It's not always subtle. It's not always subtle.
Actually, I should probably give it a try. I should, really get around to watching it.
I highly recommend. Look, I mean, we did a whole podcast about this, but I truly do think that, like, as much as intimidating, I do want to say this every now and then, as intimidating as Legend of the Galactic Hero seems because of its cast and the number of episodes and sort of its
mostly the
reputation.
number of episodes. That was always
Yes,
for me.
I do want to make the argument that I do think Legend of the Galactic Heroes, both DNT and the OVA, I think they do great jobs of slowly introducing the world and cast to you. Like, in the first few episodes, it seems intimidating because they throw, 12 guys at you who all have a nameplate. But it quickly becomes apparent, and again, I hate to use this comparison, but a little bit like, a Game of Thrones or something. As you get a few episodes in, you sort of realize, oh, okay, you introduced a dozen guys to me, but these 3 or 4 are the important ones.
They have tiers of importance.
Yes.
Right.
These are the ones I should be paying attention to, and the show does a good job of introducing the world to you through their viewpoints, and as you grow more comfortable, they slowly expand the cast. So
yeah, and I would say once I did watch, speaking of the OVA, I have my reservations about D&T, but speaking of the OVA, the once you get going, you're somehow for at least up until the last season, every single episode you're on the edge of your seat somehow for 80 episodes.
They do a good job of as much as the reputation about Legend of Galactic Heroes is that it's very dry, that it's very it's just a bunch of men standing in rooms looking at
Monitors.
Battle maps. They do a very good job of making the characters themselves very, very warm and fun and theatric to watch. So
yeah. And that combined with the obvious relevance to our
very
times,
hard-hitting social commentary.
probably even more so than 3 years ago when you guys started watching it.
Right,
but
what were we gonna say? Aaron?
Highlight Huang Lui's
yes
statement in this episode as the inquiry ends, where the other guys are like, "How could it be so rude to us politicians?" And he straight up says, "Politicians contribute nothing to society. All we are voted to redistribute tax money fairly, and we get paid for that. So aren't we just parasites on society?"
Yes, it's very good. If every politician on the planet was built like Huang Luis,
yeah,
things would be a lot different around here. That's for sure. Great show.
All right. Let's move on to less heavy topics.
Yes, competitive dancing.
Yeah, let's talk about Dance Danseur.
Bullying and social ostracization.
And actually, Artemis, you are also watching this, correct?
I am. Yep, I'm all caught up.
And what have your impressions been of the show so far, since you haven't had an opportunity to talk about it yet?
I like the show. I even like the fact that the protagonist isn't necessarily likable. I like that there's so much potential for him to develop. It's not about him being a cool guy. It's about him having all of this room to grow both as a dancer and as a person, which I do like.
Right.
I think he's kind of an asshole, but
that's
basically what I was saying last time.
But I don't think he means to be an asshole. I think he's an accidental asshole most of the time.
Right.
So a teenager.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's realistic in that sense. Yeah.
They just don't know yet.
What I do have kind of more of a problem with some of the broader strokes that the anime occasionally throws in there. Like, I don't think it was the most recent episode, but the one before that, they're all at this, this new dance school, right? And all of the minor characters are introduced as these kind of, like, I'm here because my family is incredibly privileged, and I know that the only people who are allowed in here are those who are privileged, like I am.
Yes.
Right. It just, because it makes them seem like, it makes all of these people seem like bad guys because they're wealthy. But if you were in the school and you weren't wealthy, I guess that makes you automatically a good guy.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a weird kind of dynamic.
And then they in the latest episode, they start to show that they're maybe not completely awful,
right?
Because they start hanging out a little bit. But I think I know what you're saying. I like what they're doing with the main guy, but everything else feels just kind of like it's a weird thing where like his story feels kind of realistic and grounded, but everything else going on is like a ridiculous, like
almost to the point of parody sometimes, right?
Right.
But it's not meant to be, and that's
it's not right. It's not supposed to be, but like it almost kind of doesn't fit.
Right.
What they're doing.
Even the other main character, Luo, is like borderline racist in the previous episode.
Which part?
They're going to see a recital, right? Like, one of his classmates has invited them both. They've earned the respect of their classmates, and the guy's like, my father or whatever have gotten S seats. So because you have proven yourself to me, I guess you can come along and watch this ballet thing. So they go, and Luo doesn't want to go at first because they're Japanese, and he's like, they're only Japanese dancers. They're not worthy of my time.
Yeah, he only wants to see the Russian dancers.
And as soon as it's revealed that there's one Russian dancer, he's like, I'm going.
It's just like ballet is only for realsies if it's from the motherland of ballet.
Right.
Yeah, I think,
and he won't give anyone else the time of day.
Yeah, I think they're going for like traditionally the best ballet dancers.
I know
right?
they
but,
were,
like,
which is why I'm not like, how dare, I don't think it was.
But it comes off as like very like kind of sloppily written.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is kind of I'm glad you brought that up because like I did kind of want to talk about that because while I've generally been giving very positive impressions on the podcast so far, the show is definitely not like perfect. Like there are definitely holes to poke in it that it's a bit of a mess in what they're trying to do. I think it is because I don't want to speak for both of us, but I do appreciate what they're trying to accomplish overall, even if it's a bit of a mess on how they're trying to get there. But I guess with these episodes, this block of episodes, I talked about last time how the main guy Junpei kind of ruined their recital because he decided not to die when he was supposed to die in the performance, which if you think about in a ballet is absolutely ridiculous. And they have to deal with he sees the aftermath of his decision,
right,
which is,
and they're not even professional dancers. He's throwing off a bunch of 7-year-olds.
Yes, I talked about that last time. How like this is such a small time production. He's like dancing with a bunch of 7-year-olds, but because of what he did, the 7-year-olds didn't get to do like their part at the end.
Yeah,
and like all the moms are mad, and they like quit the school, and he like ruins everything.
Yeah, which is again also a bit dramatic, but I also get their point.
Yeah, no, I could totally see that happening. But the point being, he sees that there are consequences for what he did, and he's trying to like fix it in his own way, which somehow, and again, this is where it gets like weird and like random, but like he just like walks into this fancy school, and they're like, yeah, okay, you're in the class now.
Yeah,
like
because he throws down a challenge.
Yeah, like like it's like
And
the
it's
fanciest.
like challenge accepted. We will show that you are terrible, and then we will kick you out.
Yeah, it's like the fanciest school run by like the some big ballet lady who was like judging the recital he was at, and she like basically told him off at the end of the performance, and so he goes to her school, and they walk in and they're like, "Hey, you guys are in the class now, I guess." So
Yeah.
it's a little weird, but that's kind of where the direction they take, where the two main guys are in this class and they're starting to become friends now, and they start to befriend some of the rich kids in this class or whatever. And yeah, I don't know, it's a bit of a mess. I do think the fact though that they do show Junpei, like once he realizes what he did, like he does actually feel bad about it, and he's trying to, even though it's a bit ridiculous what he's trying to do, he's like trying to like I don't know, fix getting all the kids back or something.
And he's sincere about it. He's not just like, oh, I guess I won't do it again then. Like he genuinely wants to kind of make it up to people and like try really, really, really hard to.
He just gets so absorbed in how much he loves dancing that he doesn't even realize what he's doing.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous, but I do like that aspect of it. The only thing I would also mention, now that we're like halfway through the series, they kind of build this as like the two main guys and the girl as being the main characters, and the girl like is just written out of the story right now.
She appears like once in the previous episode, and like amazed and impressed at Junpei's level of technical prowess. Right.
Because he can only spin one time, but that one spin is really good.
Yeah,
that kind of thing. But but no. Other than that, like she has like had zero relevance on the story so far, which is interesting. But yeah, I mean, I think I don't know. I'm still enjoying it overall. It's just I think the flaws are maybe becoming a little more apparent to me as time goes on.
Yeah, I guess I'm talking more about the flaws because I do think the show is good overall, but saying, hey, this show was actually pretty good isn't that interesting to talk about. So
right, yeah.
But it is a good show. I am enjoying it, and I do fully intend to watch it all the way through. Yeah,
I think I do appreciate too. It's not taking like the conventional an approach as I was expecting with it. So
yeah, a lot of what it's doing is a relief to find out that it parts of it are quite subtle and do talk like about some kind of weighty themes without being cringy about it, which I appreciate.
Yeah. So overall, still pretty good. Which I don't know if we're gonna be able to say that about our next show on the list.
What are you talking about? It's been smooth sailing so far.
Let's talk about Tiger and Bunny season 2.
Yeah, it's been what main plot? Who? Where? What? Who cares?
We said last episode exactly what was going to happen, and that's exactly what happened.
Well, I feel like not quite. I feel like even the latest episode of this Netflix show that's been released in its entirety, that Jill and I have been watching week to week. I think the latest episode we watched would still broadly fall under the hero slice of life. Plot umbrella.
The first of the two episodes definitely, because that was our last.
Yes, the last duo, which is Dragon Kid and Magical Cat, and man, you can really tell that they were the leftovers of this hero group and did not really get a lot of attention.
Yeah,
this is
probably like, we have to do an episode about them.
Yeah, I feel like this is probably
together.
The worst of the superhero duo episodes. Like, we had some issues about Rock Bison and Origami Cyclone, but at least it still ended with them, like, getting shirtless and posing next to a bank. I feel like the issue is that, like, Dragon Kid, even in season 1, was always kind of a bit of, she never really had like much of her own thing. Like she had a couple of episodes like devoted to her in season 1, but even then they were mostly just about how she's the youngest of the group and like, you know, is like trying to prove herself as a hero. You know, in the movie, she's kind of just there with Blue Rose doing, you know... It's funny, I was going to say obligatory girl fight, but they don't fight a girl, they fight an old man, so I guess it's not an obligatory girl fight. But
this episode also did remind me that there are like no adult women of note in this show, which is...
Yeah.
Because Blue Rose is supposed to only be like 16 or something.
Yeah,
right?
she's still in high school, isn't she? Yeah,
oh, she is. I thought she was older now. Like, I thought she was
it has been...
supposed to be kind of university
maybe
age?
she's a little bit older now.
Maybe
but
she's university age now, yeah, but like...
Still going to be like, what, 18 or something? Like
yeah, definitely not like... Yeah, I guess when you
where's
put it that way, yeah, that's really...
Where's our older adult women superheroes?
Yeah, I know, right? But... Yeah, so... I mean, this episode was just about, you know, what's their married couple issue that Barnaby and Kotetsu have to help solve, and it's just that like, Dragon Kid is a little overbearing as a senpai. You know, she just wants.
She's very excited about not being the youngest anymore.
Right. So she's really going like above and beyond to help her new, junior. And the kind of the somewhat interesting wrinkle is we find out that Magical Cat is
she has a helicopter mom.
Yes, is being raised by a very aggressive helicopter mom, who clearly has a huge chip on her shoulder about like how her life turned out, and it projects a lot of that onto her kid, which, to be fair, is a pretty like relatable setup, right? It's pretty believable, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that was fine.
It maybe doesn't really hold up to scrutiny in the end because it's just like, I don't know, like, they reveal that Magical Cat's powers are fueled by her emotions, and so, like, you know, she has to, like, believe in herself to make her powers work.
Dragon Kid tells her to believe in the me that believes in you. And then
it works, and they stop the bad guy. Yeah,
the power was with her all along.
Exactly. Yeah. It's literally that. So it's really not that, like, great of an episode. There's one really funny gag where, like, Magical Cat gets sent to the hospital, and she's about to get discharged, and so the rest of the heroes are, like, you know, waiting for her to get released from the hospital, and, like, everybody's brought, like, bouquets of flowers, and Kotetsu's, like, holding, like, a fucking old-timey lollipop, like, the big, like, disc ones, you know?
Right, the big, right.
You from, get, like, a fairground kind of
thing. Yeah. And everybody's giving Kotetsu shit. They're like, man, Kotetsu, like, why'd you get such a bad gift for her? Like,
she's not, like, 6 years old or something, right?
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? And Kotetsu's like, what? Kids love candy, right? Come on. And, you know, even Barnaby's giving him shit, and Kotetsu's like, wait, didn't you buy candy for her too? And Barnaby's like, no. And then the girl, you know, Magical Cat gets released from the hospital. Everybody's about to hand their gift over, but, like, they get interrupted, and it just cuts to fucking Kotetsu holding out the lollipop. He turns around and sees that Barnaby has the exact same lollipop. And they just silently stare at each other for like half a beat before moving to the next scene.
I think the actual funniest part of the episode is when right before that, when Magical Cat does like mess up, and I don't know, I found it so funny when it's like a magical girl, and then the dude just like pulls a gun on her.
Yeah. Like, yes,
I shouldn't be laughing, but like,
right.
It's actually hilarious.
The visual absurdity of like your stereotypical magical girl twirling through the scene, and then the dude just pulls out a gun.
She's doing the whole "in the name of the moon, I'll punish you," and the dude just pulls out a fucking Glock and opens fire on her, and it's so good because I feel like so many superhero like shows and anime never just bring up the question of like,
what if they have a gun?
What if you had a gun, though? Like, most of these heroes aren't bulletproof. Like, like about half the cast of Tiger and Bunny could be killed by a dude with a pistol.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yes, that's pretty good. And then the second episode of the two... Oh, sorry, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say that episode was fine. I wouldn't... It was probably at the bottom of the couples episodes, but... You know,
so like
fine.
Competent but not necessarily fulfilling as a character study or whatever.
the second episode, as you're about to get into, we did get the return of Kotetsu's daughter, who we haven't really seen.
Right, yes, Kaide Kaburagi, who is revealed at the end of season 1 to also have next powers like her father, except that her power is that she can copy powers from anybody she touches, but she can only copy the power once. And anytime she touches a person with a new power, it instantly overrides the old power. But
and then she can never get that power ever again.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Anyway, so the episode starts with like Kotetsu and Barnaby finally finding time to get drinks after work. It's sort of been a running plot point that like their schedules keep like not lining up, and they can't go to the bar and have drinks like the married couple they're supposed to be. And they think they finally got it this time, but then turns out that Kaide has visited her father in a surprise visit that was unannounced. Don't worry, it's totally normal. And I'll say this. The reason I still like this episode is because, like, it's still a fun, like, anime dad episode. And also, it is the episode that reminds you that Barnaby is basically Kaide's new mom.
Yes, that's true.
Like, because Barnaby ends up being the, like, emotional core that, like, mediates this relationship.
Right. Yeah, because well, I mean, it basically, they find out that Kaide's trying to get into, like, the superhero
yes, turns out that
or whatever, right?
That the reason she has visited is not just because she loves her dad. It's because she actually wants to, like, go to an info session for the, like, literal My Hero Academia-ass superhero school that is in Sternbuild City. And naturally, Kotetsu is against it. He doesn't want his daughter getting into this dangerous line of work. She snaps back, saying that what gives you the right to be in this line of work?
They go full, oh god, what was that? Full Sakugan mode, for recent reference.
No, sure.
Yeah, real, just like, you're a shitty dad, you never, you neglected me to just focus on your hero career. Just some mean,
you're just a
some
kid,
mean
you
words
can't go do that dangerous thing.
Yeah, some mean words are getting thrown about. I will say, one thing I really liked is because they don't instantly reveal why Kaide is here, and, like, if you sort of remember her character from season 1 in the movie, it's not that she's a bad kid, but she clearly gives her dad a lot of shit. She's very snarky to her dad, and, like, she is not really a, like, stereotypical, like, daddy's girl, like, sort of kid. And so, like, a lot of Kotetsu's, like...
And, I mean, she raises some valid points about him,
she totally does.
Not being in her life.
Right, and so a lot of Kotetsu's anguish is about trying to balance being a superhero and a good single dad. And so... Because I remember this, because I thought it was kind of weird at the beginning of this episode that Kaide was being very warm and friendly with her dad, right? Even going as far as saying, Dad, you're the coolest, and all that stuff, right?
Right.
And of all the people who correctly realizes that something is off, it's the asshole jock Golden Ryan.
Yes, that was very good.
Who displays his rare cases of actually maybe having the highest level of emotional maturity in the group, because he says there's only 2 reasons that a kid is nice to their parents. The first is because they want to get this conversation over with so that they can leave and go hang out with their friends or their girlfriend. Or B, it's because they're hiding something. And so that is it. Then so it is the latter that is proven true. And yes, we round back to Kaide's reveal if she wants to become a superhero.
Right.
Anyways, it all kind of culminates in, like, Sternbuild being the most accident-prone city in the world. So
Somehow,
Kaide tries to be a superhero and save some dudes falling from a collapsing building. And almost gets killed herself, saved by her dad at the last second. It's kind of that, like, see, this is what I'm talking about. And I think I actually I kind of like their heart to heart, where like Kotetsu's like, yes, if I had it my way, I wouldn't want you to go and learn to be a superhero, but I need to at least respect your intent and your desire, and so like agrees to at least like consider it and lets Kaide at least take a tour of the superhero school, which, I think it worked out okay. Like,
most of that was fine.
Yeah.
I feel like, as I often feel with some of the writing in the show, anytime they even remotely touch on some kind of like serious conversation, that falls apart. But it was, I think the parts that you pointed out were great, though. Like, especially like, so I never actually did end up watching the movie. I was too lazy to go track that down, so I didn't get to meet Golden Ryan until this season. But
there's a brief flashback to the movie in this episode, right? Where there's that part where she says on Justice Day when I kind of
figured. Yeah,
like I wanted to save somebody instead of being saved. That is a flashback to a scene she has in the movie.
I kind of figured, but I was just saying, Golden Ryan's my new favorite character. But
Golden Ryan's great. Like that's the thing. I wanted to make it clear. Like Golden Ryan's a fucking dick.
Yeah.
But like he's super fucking funny. So.
he's pretty great though as a character. Yeah. I think the bigger problem though is we have the looming main plot is now here.
I think we have now cleaned up all the slice of life. We are now about to enter the plot dimension.
Yeah, so they've been showing the Adam and Eve guys
with
more,
Mads Mikkelsen in tow.
With Mads Mikkelsen in tow. There's something going on with Barnaby's old friend and his research laboratory.
Right, I guess that plot point's been coming up this whole time. Like, oh, like Barnaby's childhood friend is working on some advanced drug, and
which is definitely 100% going to go wrong.
Oh yeah, like the moment that plot point gets introduced like 4 episodes ago, you're like, okay.
The second I saw that dude on screen, I was like, he's gonna ruin everything.
When does he inevitably inject himself with the superhero serum and goes berserk or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. As soon as I saw that guy on screen, like he's gonna he's gonna ruin everything.
Yes.
And then I feel like even if these episodes weren't terrible, the honeymoon is probably over now.
Yeah, I guess we will just have to see how they handle the quote-unquote proper plot going forward. I don't have super high hopes because I feel like Tiger and Bunny always struggled with like bigger plots, but you know, if we got half of a really good superhero office comedy out of this show, like
we made it halfway through the series, so we'll see. Well.
Oh, one last thing that I thought was very funny. So Kaide is visiting her dad with her classmate Soroha, who is talking to Barnaby, and she's talking about how she's a huge fan of He Is Thomas, who the fans call Hit, and fans of He Is Thomas are called Hitters. And,
yes.
It's very, very funny.
I mean, I don't know why that guy would have any fans, but...
Well, she does say that it's mostly the girls. It's mostly a female fan base. So, you know... he's the cool, aloof one, right? So...
Right. That was pretty good. All right. Well...
Yes.
So
let's go on from that to Anime of the Year, Birdie Wing Golf Girl story.
Yeah. It's time.
Artemis, have you watched some of this, right? But you're not up to...
Yeah, I watched the first 2 episodes, and I do know, like, roughly what's happened thus far.
Aww.
Because, hashtag Life of a Freelancer, I've been, like, for various reasons, reading the synopses of all the episodes, so...
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well,
well,
now that you drop that other show and have some time, you might want to catch up on this.
Maybe.
I think Birdie Wing should replace that hole in that hole in your heart that is clearly yearning for some golf action.
Absurd, deranged chaos. Of
you know
Birdie
me so
Wing.
well.
Golf is like the least important part of this show.
Yeah. I saw a tweet from somebody. I guess they're doing like an actual golf promo collaboration.
Of course they are.
And they're like. They're like, there's nothing. It's weird because there's nothing that the show respects less than actual golf.
Yes.
But yeah, so this kind of double episode kind of pairs up with episode 6 being sort of the build up, where well, the previous episode we had ended with the town getting bulldozed or something like that, and her illegal immigrant family is not going to have a place to live, and. So,
they live in not America, right?
They live in a nondescript European country. Like,
yes.
Yeah, it's a fake European country that has appeared in this writer's other anime randomly.
Yeah, it's like vague mix of like Italy and like I don't know,
some
vaguely
Southern European
Mediterranean,
nation.
Southern European
Mediterranean
country.
type of-
Monaco or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and so Eve has to get deeper into her mafia
mafia.
connections to
Yes,
save
yes.
the save her family.
She realized she's been taken for a ride by the mafia family that she's indebted to, and now realizes that she's going to have to go up against them to save her orphanage/bar.
yep.
This includes teaming up with the now disgraced Viper, who,
Yes,
in true first boss fashion, switches sides.
They made the smartest decision possible, which is realize that Viper, the goth golfer with the hallucinogenic titty sweat, is actually a great party member to add to the team. So, former villain turned reluctant ally.
Right.
She's now helping out Eve to.
And
I
it's,
saw
like,
somebody
completely
say-
chilled out. Like,
Yes.
I saw somebody say she turned into Speedwagon, but
She
Yes.
is. She kind of is. Yeah, it's a really good way of putting it.
It's
She is.
kind of
the wine mom. Like,
Yes, even Viper is afraid.
yeah.
Yeah, so, the first episode, it's funny. Like, the first episode of this, too, we were expecting to go crazy because, like, oh, there's a dude with an RPG in it, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a...
the
Like,
least exciting thing in the episode.
There's a bazooka-based murder in this episode, and it is maybe the least interesting thing about this episode.
They just murder a politician in
Yeah.
broad
In the
daylight by
street,
shooting
yeah.
a rocket at his car.
And we get all kinds of crazy, like, reveals in this episode, right? We find out that Eve is, like, an amnesiac orphan. Like, she doesn't remember her past.
Uh-huh.
Like, she has that scar on her head. She doesn't remember where she came from. Like, I feel like we are increasingly angling towards the reveal that Eve is, like, some sort of, like, genetic
Golf
super
wonder
soldier
kind, yeah.
experiment. Yeah, like...
But
like
designed to
trained
play
become-
golf.
Yes, designed to
Built to
play,
play
golf or something. I don't know.
Yeah. And so just to call in, she calls the pair and to, get in for with the mafia again.
Yes,
to
yes,
golf
to do-
against.
Yes, a second match will be held again because basically the rival mob organization, the rival of the one Eve worked for the rival of Rose's
Gonna
mob,
golf again.
The one she
stole
defeated.
stole the deed to the land, like in a
Right.
real Yakuza 0-esque plot twist, stole the deed to the casino, and so they're gonna play a second golf game to settle once and for all who.
Because that's
gets
how
it.
that's how the mafia settles their
Yeah.
differences is through golf battles.
And so
for
the
us,
reveal is that this time, Eve is going to play for the rival mob against the mob
Against,
she played for
Rose
the first time
Allion.
around. And yes, but this time she'll be facing off against, the legendary golfer Rose Allion
Yes.
and her
le-
Rose Garden.
Which leads us to the episode 7, which is
It's time for the
their
ultimate
battle.
golf where our
And it's
lives are on the
so-
line.
Yeah,
It's so fucking crazy because the first 20 minutes of this episode is a fairly standard one-on-one golf match, right? Like they reveal that Rose
there's some good reveals in leveling up though. Like
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. Like I think even the golfing part itself is like even without the reveal at the very end, I think this would have still been a fairly solid
Right.
episode.
Like
right?
you have
like,
the whole Rose is like, I trained under the same sword master as you.
Yeah. So we find out that Rose is at least thematically supposed to be Eve, but better in every way, right?
right with
Like
bigger, stronger, more experience.
right?
Yeah.
And they do the classic thing of like as the match goes on, however, we find out that like in exchange for her strength and experience that Rose is retired for a reason.
Yes.
She is suffering from some mysterious
Old injury or something.
injury, an old injury that seems to be holding her back. And as the match goes longer and
We have
longer,
the metaphorical cracks in the
yes,
screen.
that Eve's youth and endurance is beginning to pull out, right? Or pull ahead.
Yeah.
And I think we were all thinking the classic, like, all right, she's got like she's got a slipped disc, or like she injured herself from golfing
the
back
old
in the
golf
day.
injury.
Right, because like,
Right.
it's this is a classic sports thing, right? Of like, specifically the archetype of really strong characters. Is a common archetype with this type of characters. They're so strong that they're stronger than their body can actually handle.
Right.
and so they have a short lifespan on their effective career, and that's why Rose had to retire, right? That she's literally too good for her own body, right?
Something along these lines, yeah.
And then the post-credits scene happens. And I don't know if we should even talk about it here.
I don't even want to spoil it.
I feel like,
we know,
not even just for Artemis, but for anybody listening, I don't want to talk about the reveal, but we will just say the true nature of Rose Alion's injury is revealed in a post-credits scene.
Perhaps
and it
the
is
source of her power. Yeah.
That was the biggest, most genuine belly laugh I've had this season.
Yes.
In this season full of comedies. Just
now I have to watch it.
I was stunned.
Yes.
I was awestruck.
I was thinking about that for like the next 48 hours.
My jaw hung agape. I could not believe this show was doing, like, the show with the transforming golf course and the goth golf girlfriend and
VR golfing.
Yes, the VR golfing. This show still managed to find a way in its 7th episode to make me go, you can't be fucking serious.
It's awesome. Really fucking funny. Not since Brandbelm have I been blindsided so hard by post-credits scene.
Yeah.
This might be the, like, this year's, like, Anafugo presents Birdie Wing Award.
I wouldn't put over Anafugo's post-credits moment, but it's up there for sure.
It's definitely, like, it's. I don't know, like, to really get into it, there's like just the audacity of this show. Like, it clearly knows what it's doing. This can't be by accident. Like, the way it times its post-credit reveals every time, or its next episode previews, like.
Yeah. They know what they're doing.
They know, yeah.
They know what they're doing. I did want to mention a couple things, because I did actually very much enjoy their golf battle, and the way they were like, we mentioned the reveal that she trained with the same person, and
right, and
I love how they kept showing like Eve hits the ball 250 yards and Rose hits it 260 yards.
Right,
right.
Just like.
And then they also had also Eve pulling out her purple bullet.
Yes.
She learns how to slice.
Where they
her golf girlfriend taught her in VR how to hit a different shot.
Yes. Which they reveal that VR thing was not just a throwaway. That was actually they call back to that she learned how to hit a slice. Her her girlfriend told her that she doesn't have to always be straight.
She literally learned how to not be straight.
Yes. Yeah, and she also names. So I wanted to point out with the purple bullet was actually they show it in the subtitles.
Some kanji joke, right?
Yeah, there's some kanji shenanigans with how she names it. It's not actually like literally purple bullet, but she basically names it after Aoi, which if you read I was reading the ANN review of that episode, and they break down exactly how the kanji shenanigans work. So you can go check that out. I'm not going to try to explain it personally because there's like several layers to it. But you know how kanji is like, depending which kanji you use, like different words can have different kanji for it and all that. But the subtitles do kind of cram it in there by when they say
they try
her
Aoi, so you know
the name for kanji is for a specific flower, which is a pinkish purple color.
Right. And then Eve later does actually say purple bullet in English, I think. Yeah. But point is that she named it after Aoi because Aoi taught her how to do it, and that's her girlfriend. But just great stuff. What are the odds that we're gonna end up in space at the end of this?
Not zero.
So I don't want to be that guy because we were already proven wrong once. But once this Rose stuff is done, where does this show go? Because there's a lot of people in the OP we haven't seen yet, but they all kind of look like regular golfers. Like, we've already seen all the freak shows and weirdos in the OP.
And everyone else is just a normal golfer.
I think the preview showed we have to figure out they set us up with Eve's backstory for a lot of
Yes.
ridiculous things.
No,
like,
I mean, I'm sure there's still going to be stuff to come. I'm just wondering, like, is this show still going to just end with a regular tournament? Because, like,
not,
is that...
I'm not.
like-
I'm not taking that bet. I'm not.
No,
doing,
I know,
I'm not
but it's
doing
just
this
like-
again.
I know, but it's just there's a lot of just really normal-looking golfers in the OP, and I'm like, we haven't met them yet, so it's like, is that... I guess I'm just wondering, like, how, like, you know, like, I just wonder how do we how do we escalate from here, right? Like, how do we escalate
Can't wait
from,
to find out.
you know, underground mafia, like, golf matches to, like, we're just going on the PGA Tour. Like,
I mean, this is an anime original, right?
Yes.
So they
Yes.
can go wherever they please.
I mean, that's the thing. That's what makes it exciting. Yeah, it's just, I'm really curious, like,
Yeah.
because if Eve just enters a like standard tournament after all of this,
Yeah. I don't
like,
think. I don't.
what
think,
will
I don't
they
think we're
do
going there.
to what will they do to spice it up? Is the question I want answered.
Right.
Yeah, I'm willing to give them some benefit of the doubt at this point, so I'm not taking that bet again for
Yeah.
going back to conventional golf, but we'll see. All right, let's talk about. I guess I will talk about Aharen-san. These two episodes, they're kind of starting to drag a little bit. I'll admit, like they're running out of a little bit of steam, I think. Since the show is already kind of like very slow paced and deliberate, they do their school festival thing, which is going to come up again when we talk about Kaguya-sama, I'm sure. But that's kind of what these two episodes were building up to, and you know what? I guess I'll bring up again. While this show is primarily very silly, it's also like more a conventional slice of life, nice people being nice to each other type of thing, and they kind of lean a little more into that in these episodes, which is fine. It's just not as maybe ridiculous and funny as some of the other episodes that I've talked about previously. They do get some good gags in where, like, I don't know if it's gonna be a recurring thing, but I talked about last time how they kind of switched up the twin joke thing with her brother looking exactly like her,
Right.
Aharen. So they pull this again, where the main dude, who I think at this point I'm willing to classify as a himbo.
Okay.
Okay.
He's a very nice guy, but he's not very smart.
Sure.
He sees Aharen sitting in a room and goes to talk to her and gets no response, and like accidentally knocks her over to the ground, and he thinks she's like dying or something, or dead because she's not breathing. And then Aharen walks in and she's like, "Oh, that's a life-size doll I made of myself," which is absolutely absurd, with no
alright.
like further explanation or anything. But I think they just wanted to play off the like
Sure.
twin joke thing again. It does lead to a very visually absurd gag where she's like picking up this life-size version of herself and poking him with it later, but that was pretty good. There's also like a recurring gag that comes up with one of the teachers, who she gets like a little bit of screen time in this block, where she's kind of functionally the same as the elegance guy in Spy Family.
Oh, okay.
She's like the like classic literature. I think it's classic literature or history or something teacher, so she's very into like feudal Japan type of, you know, honor and all that. And her word is esteem. She uses esteem in every sentence.
Of course.
And to the point where it doesn't even like make sense anymore.
But does she use the word in English?
Yeah, sometimes.
Oh, awesome.
She uses it
Cool.
so much.
Oh my goodness.
She uses it so much that, you know, it's all versions, but they do kind of a good recurring bit where you know how in these animes sometimes when they're in class, you'll just hear like the teacher talking in the background, but not really like important to what's going on.
Right.
So like every time they're doing that, you hear her talking about like a different definition of esteem in the background.
That's pretty good.
The different explanation of that every time you hear her in the background, if you're paying attention to that. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't, well, not as funny. It's kind of like more kind of sweet and sentimental this week, which is fine. Cash in some of
that's
those
fine.
emotional chips. And you know, I'd still say they're doing pretty good. All right. Let's talk about your boy Kongming.
Let's do that. Yes.
And I think this
Let's
is
talk
another
about
one.
the peerless tactician.
This is another one, Artemis. You haven't had a chance to talk about how you've been watching it, though, right?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
What has your impressions been?
It's all right. Part of me wishes that the series had been less about Eiko, who is a perfectly fine but just non-exciting character to me, and more about the whole kind of, I don't know, it seems to be more of a drama than a comedy, and I wish it had leaned more into the comedy with Kongming being the fish out of water kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree I think that's what we were all expecting out of this show, right? And I think that's definitely the vibe that the OP tries to communicate.
And the first episode kind of made me expect that too.
Right.
And then
What
you
is
kind of
blockchains?
the music's yes, but then it's eventually you hit that point where oh wow, actually the
this
music
is
angle
totally about the music
is
stuff.
Right. So
actually the most important part, and it's
so I kind of resigned myself to that, and I was fine with it wasn't what I hoped, but that's fine. No, all right, cool. But then the music is becoming just really repetitive. Like their most recent episode just had the same song 5 times or something.
Yeah.
The music that is supposed to be EDM is just not EDM. It's just pop. It's just that's all.
Yeah.
I guess most of it's in English because that means that to a Japanese audience it probably sounds cooler.
Right.
But if they'd had it in Japanese, they would have been like, this isn't very good.
I guess, yeah, and it's like that thing of I think this show probably does need a little bit more Kongming in it again, because for example, the whole rap battle episode was pretty fun because it was the shenanigans of all right, let's throw this character, this public domain character Kongming into this utterly absurd situation, right? Kongming gets into a rap battle, right? And it's it can be entertaining for the absurdity of the situation alone, right?
Yeah. Right.
But now that we've entered in this set of episodes where it's Kongming's planning from the background, he's operating behind the scenes.
Yeah, he's not on
now
screen.
we're not.
Right.
He's almost become an actual background character,
and it's really
weird. He's just there to kind of further the plot, the main plot.
Right, he's kind of just a plot device that helps solve the other characters' issues. When I feel like it should have been the other way around. Of Kongming should always be on screen, and when he's not on screen, the characters should say, "Where's Kongming?"
And we talked about last time how
yeah,
or I don't know if it was at some point we talked about how the Kongming angle is what prevents this from just being another PA Works working with the show, right? And
without Kongming, it just kind of becomes.
And the way the way at least these past 2 episodes planned out, he could have just been old music producer guy, right? The whole Kongming historical 3 Kingdoms thing does not super come into play too much. Other
not
than,
really. No.
Maybe his little 3 bag stunt, right? Other than that,
right.
And that was almost kind of shoehorned,
it doesn't
just
even
kind of a token effort,
right? It's that tough thing of I don't know, I'm very curious about the original source material. Is the person who wrote this manga a big Romance of the 3 Kingdoms fan, or did they just kind of
big pop music fan, or both?
Right? Or did they just kind of toss in Kongming as a gimmick, right? Not to be fake 3 Kingdoms fan or something, but I guess it's because Kongming's presence is the thing that sells this show. I now wonder how prominent is he actually overall, right? In the original manga, is he actually a prominent character, or does he kind of just end up being a weird plot device for?
Yeah,
for
I wonder if
cast?
Just for the sake of adaptation, once you're I guess if things are moving a bit faster and snappier when you're reading the manga versus having to actually play this all out on screen, it doesn't feel like he's gone that much,
Right.
But yeah, so with these episodes, the big thing is we meet our final group member, right?
Yes.
Final party member. What's Nanami? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Nanami, yeah.
Who is out busking in the streets?
Secretly,
I wonder who she could possibly be.
They make no effort to hide that she is
There's absolutely zero
Secretly
mystery
the evil
around this part of the
evil
storyline.
idol group.
She's part of
rivals.
Azalea,
Yeah.
I believe. Yeah.
Right,
Which
the
is like
masked,
foreshadowing something that has already been in the direct sunlight
Put
for the
it in
last
the
like
OP.
3.
You put it in the OP. It's kind of
Right.
you kind of fucked yourself there. Like you
Yeah.
can't hide something you put in the OP. Like people are watching that every week.
Yeah. And Nanami's, I mean, she's fine.
Yeah.
She doesn't really do anything for me.
I guess the thing is, like, I'm trying to figure out, because, like, look, I don't know. Look, I'm still scratching my head for why they had to recruit Kabe.
Right,
all right?
yeah.
Look, I like hip-hop, and I think Kabe's bars are pretty decent, but I'm also, like, I'm still not quite sure why we recruited him.
There's the very
Like-
goofy scene where Eiko is singing her new song, like in the club, and Kabe is just
Yeah.
like, "Yes, I will stand here and interject with rap."
Yes,
over,
I'll
But
just
it's
over,
rap
your,
like-
terrible.
over your
They
like
don't mesh at all.
over your
Right, I
like lovely ballad or whatever. It's
It's
just-
very like early to mid 2000s pop music where you had to have a guy jump in with a rap verse.
Yeah,
on
but
the
then
bridge.
they're giving each other looks like, yeah, with the sound actually sounds pretty good, and everyone gives themselves like the nod, but it sounds terrible.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's only like, and now the thing I'm, like, really worried / hoping happens is that they eventually release, like, the final version of that song, and there's totally just a completely inappropriate rap breakdown
Yeah,
in the middle.
that might be where we're headed.
That'd be hilarious.
But
though.
Just go full Sawano here, you know? Just
yeah,
Does the
I
song
guess-
need a rapper? Who can say? But he's here anyway.
I
But
guess
then I
maybe
remember
a big,
that it's PA works, and that probably won't happen.
Yeah, I guess maybe a big question is because I agree. Like, I don't know why I brought in Kabe, and I could see maybe why strategy-wise you might want to bring in Nanami, because if he does,
Right.
like that would be a very Three Kingdoms thing to do.
Get
where
a
you bring in
defector.
bring in the enemy general to your side to destroy your
Yes, this is-
competition, right?
Yes, quite literally, like one of the most basic go-to strategies in Romance of the Three Kingdoms
Steal
is, man, the
your
enemy has a
enemy's
really right, man. The enemy general's really strong. Well,
Rather than fight him, let's bring
let's
him to
see
our
if we can
side,
bribe him. Like, what kind of general? Do you want money? Do you want a hot wife? What are you in the market for? What can we give you to convince you to stop fighting us?
right? Yeah, since Kongming, I'm sure he knows that Nanami, her soul burns to play real
Yes.
music and not idle trash.
to have a true friend or something.
Yeah, and that's the weakness he's gonna play against.
Right.
So it's like that makes sense strategy wise, I guess. I don't know if musically it's gonna matter or anything,
Right.
but
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Is this show's one core or is it two cores?
Good question.
I think it might be one.
yeah.
Okay, then they'll probably like reach the very limit of what they can stretch out here in this show with this premise in one core, right? Like,
I think
But,
I think it's going to be 12 episodes.
Okay, sure,
So we've had
then.
8, right? That was number 8 recently.
Yeah,
so
this was one of the
think
first
so,
shows that aired.
So
so-
yeah, we'll probably the remaining 4 will probably be about getting Nanami to like leave her idol group and find her voice with Eiko, and Eiko will perform at the big.
They'll get their 1,000
Big
or
concert,
100,000
yeah.
likes and
And,
perform at the
Yeah.
concert. Yeah,
I don't know. Kongming will see Liu Bei's ghost again, and he'll be like smiling from heaven.
I brought peace to the world.
I've done it.
yes through
yeah.
music.
Well,
Sure.
yeah, I hate that we have all this negative stuff to say, but it's needs to be said. I think at this point.
And also like you can as kind of, it's not as important, but just kind of a general aside, the production values are kind of slipping as well. There's a lot of still scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I heard
montages,
that-
a lot of montages.
I heard that this show, and I forget what other show this season, is like unlisted, like almost half outsourced to some Korean studio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
but
not the
I mean,
usual.
it's not that important, but but I couldn't help but notice it with the most recent episode in particular.
And I do think just like these most recent episodes compared to the Kabe block, which even that I thought was maybe drawn out too much, but at least like the ending was kind of like exciting and interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a gimmick
And-
to it.
Yeah.
And these episodes were just kind of like I don't know, more spinning their wheels a little bit.
Yeah.
Singing the
Somehow-
same song over and over
Yeah,
about a concept which is not even like they're singing a love song, but
Right.
not that I
In the
want a
street.
romance anime, but like that has nothing to do with
the right.
Yeah.
the character. But sure.
Well, like I said, I mean, we're saying a lot of negative stuff. I mean, I'm still enjoying the show.
It's fine.
It's
I mean,
fine.
I'm still
we're all
watching
still
it.
watching
So.
Yeah.
it, right?
I
So,
mean,
As has
Besides-
been ascertained, I don't mind dropping shows halfway through if I'm not entertained, and I am still watching. So
Look, this is a classic situation for the peerless tactician. Right?
He's got us all
your
fooled,
enemy.
yep.
Yes, fool your enemy into thinking you are going through a moment of weakness. And when your enemy decides to commit to the kill, that is when you reveal your true, ace in the hole.
maybe
The peerless
maybe
tactician Kongming
has-
is just setting us up,
He has some kind of
Sure.
ridiculous way that he's going to pull this all together, right? And
Exactly.
we're going to, I don't know. Hopefully that's what will happen.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, well.
Let's
Yeah.
talk about Kaguya-sama, Love is War,
Yeah.
ultra romantic.
Ultra romantic.
I guess this week we made it halfway through the season, we're just kind of doing whatever, and then someone remembered, oh, there's a main plot we have to get
Time
back to.
for plot. Reminder, there's a plot in this anime.
This is supposed to be about Kaguya and Shirogane trying to force each
Yes.
other to confess to each other. And
I
they pull
do...
they pull the trump card of every school anime if you need to move the plot along, and that's the looming specter of graduation.
Yep. And yeah,
yeah.
I think the first half of these two episodes was still pretty good. I think that in the introduction of Ai Hayasaka's mom basically being cut from like the exact same cloth as Ai herself, and then the unexpected fucking killer cuts duo of Ai's mom and Shirogane's dad
Yes.
ends up being way better than expected.
Yes. Yeah, for the record, when I say the show's back to the plot, that's not a bad
Yeah,
thing in Kaguya.
no,
like
yeah.
that's
But yeah,
that's
so
fine.
the first like skit of this first episode is like parent-teacher conference, right? It's time for the classic like parents meet with the teachers to talk about the future of their kids, right? And as we have alluded to many times, Kaguya's family situation is weird. So Ai's mom is here to serve as
her
as
surrogate
Kaguya's
mother.
surrogate mom. And Shirogane just butts is like, hey, how about I be your dad? And Ai's
Right.
mom is like, yeah, sounds great. This sounds like we could really fuck with Kaguya that way.
Yes.
And
All
it kind of
kinds
leads to this kind of
psychological damage.
fun, like, it's a joke, but it kind of leads to an interesting thing, right? Of, like, Kaguya reveals that, like, she doesn't really know what she's doing with her life because she's always sort of just followed, the path that's been laid out for her. And it's Ai's mom and Shirogane's dad who end up, like, giving the weirdly, like, as much as these two people are kind of weirdo jokesters, they are actually also maybe legitimately decent parents who have, like, genuine advice for Kaguya.
Right. Yeah.
Even if it is in the form of the joke of, like, Shirogane's dad being like, what are you talking about? I've always encouraged you to follow your true path. And it's like, you're not actually her dad.
Right. Yes. Right. Yeah. Yeah. He's always been a fun wild card.
Yes.
And in this
They
whole
use him
process,
well.
but
They don't use him too much, right?
Right.
Shirogane's dad shows up just often enough to remind
it's probably
you.
only like the second or third time he's ever appeared.
Yeah,
Right.
that he's
Yeah.
a really well deployed dirtbag of a dad, just
Yeah.
in the right moments.
Yeah.
We also find out that Shirogane is planning to do the classic romance anime reveal. He's planning to study abroad after he graduates.
So he's running out of time,
Yeah, there's a time limit now.
and now he's determined if he can't get Kaguya to confess by the end of the school festival, then he's gonna do it himself.
He's gonna do it. Pride
As if
be
he couldn't have
damned.
done this at any point in time.
I know,
prior to
right?
this.
As if Shirogane was not literally giving advice to what's her name last episode about like you gotta be honest with your feelings or whatever.
Right.
It does lead to the very good bit of Shirogane tries to ask Kaguya out, but Kaguya just kind of autopilots and accidentally says no, only to realize how thoroughly she has fucked up here.
So then they have to like do the dance of like
Yeah.
when you're a dumb teenager and you want to hang out with the person you like, but you don't want to say you want to hang out with the person you like, so you start coming up with excuses to be like in the same place at the same time.
Yes, and the fucking running bit of like Shirogane is just like, please, I just need a wingman. I need a third party. Anyone, please come into this room and break the ice. And each member of the student council who walks in just makes the situation worse and worse.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Like, what is it like? She like fucking Ishigami walks in. He's like, "Oh man, I saw the funniest shit in the world. This dude asked a girl out and she said no. What a dipshit! Who would ever confess their feelings to a girl they like in high school? God, I hate to be that loser."
And then when he's trying to ask Kaguya to go, he's like, "I'll go," and then it ruins everything.
Right. Ishigami being literally the worst wingman on the planet. Like I'm gonna be honest, as someone who has realized in hindsight he was a really bad wingman, I kind of curled into a ball during parts of this episode. I was like, oh,
I have to say, and I think I've mentioned some of these already. Watching Kaguya has dug up some old
digs
old
up
memories
some old
of being
high
a dumb
school
teenager.
traumas. Yeah.
It's great.
Yes.
But yeah, no. So the pressure's on
as
Shirogane has now committed to confessing by the school festival, which kind of I guess both of these episodes that's what they're starting to build up.
I mean,
to,
this is
right?
what we're setting up, right? Is that the culture
the
festival is going to be, yes, the primary plot driver for, I don't know, if not this whole cour, then at least the next few episodes.
Right, for this arc or whatever. But
yeah.
So in the second episode, it's they send Ino and Ishigami to join the festival committee. Yep. We get a little bit of screen time for Ino, who definitely gets the least amount of screen time out of the student council.
I mean, Ino's a situation of like her character. I mean, I think we're gonna get more of her in this arc. I feel like that's the intent of like the situation, right? Is to finally give her some time to shine, because before she kind of fell into the the trend of just being the comically strict one, right? Like that's. And so yes, they are now on the festival committee because what's her name? Tsubame? Is that her name?
I think so.
The outgoing pink-haired girl.
The one that Ishigami likes.
Yes, the one that Ishigami has a crush on is Tsubame Koyasu. Yes, is leading the committee, and so you get the fun bit of Ishigami hard turn saying, "I'll do it," which is very good. We get. I really enjoyed the bit of everybody is at that committee meeting, right? And like Tsubame is like, is hosting the meeting, right? She's going through like the talking points, right? And you get a bunch of like fucking, nerdlinger dudes each cutting in, trying to be like, well, Tsubame, I'd love to explain to you why, blah blah blah, right? Trying to Tsubame, if you allow me to impress you with my knowledge and all that shit, right?
Right.
And fucking Ishigami
shutting them all down.
Came prepared. He is fucking Miles Edgeworth in this situation. He read the books. He studied up. Because if anyone is going to sound like the smart one to impress Tsubame, it's gonna be him. He's not gonna let these other losers get in the way.
Ishigami, king of the nerds.
Yes, boy. And let me tell you, as a nerd who had a crush on the outgoing girl in high school, this also made me want to curl into a ball. But, very classic situation. Just, a bunch of nerds trying to one-up each other to impress a girl in school. It's very good. We get some more Maki or Ino. She is Miko. Yes, Ino getting dunked on kind of by the rest of the committee, right? Until until she tries to make her school bonfire plan happen.
Yes, she's
got
for some reason to
get some arson going on.
She has some strange fascination with a big fire. We're not quite sure what's going on there.
Well, the bonfire got banned because it was too dangerous or something. And now they're trying to bring it back, and she's determined to make it happen. And Yeah, and then we get one throwaway bit with Shirogane trying to blow up balloons.
Yeah, so we get one more Fujiwara.
And Fujiwara's not having it this time.
No. This is one of those parts where it's a reminder that Kaguya is an immaculately directed comedy.
Yes.
Because, like, the whole bit with Shirogane blowing up the balloons and Kashiwagi being like, someone should help him learn how to blow up tie balloon animals better. And, like, it's in, like, this weird, like, not quite sepia, but lowered saturation, like, 480p, kind of blurry, like, VHS tape, like,
right,
resolution or something.
Which they use a lot. But
yes, Kashiwagi is like, someone should try to help him, and this just opens up Fujiwara's old trauma.
Right.
But it leads
kind of
to
like subtly saying we've been here before, right?
Yes, we've done this a million times. You can't trick me into helping Shirogane again. Except, once again, we find out that, Fujiwara has probably the best maternal instincts of anybody on the cast, because Kashiwagi, she's like, She does a thing of like, Shirogane, there's other ways you can help. You don't have to do balloon animals. Here's another way you could help out. And Fujiwara just has this huge fucking speech about how when raising a child, you should never try to dissuade them from what they want to do. Like, you should always at least, like, help them try to, like, do the thing they want to do. And then if they fail, then as a second option, you can suggest an alternative. But to suggest the alternative first will just send a child down the path of delinquency, the path of least resistance.
Yeah. So the maternal instinct she kicked in for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a great running
Very
bit.
Very good.
But yeah, I mean, even though these were setup episodes, still good.
Still
Good
good.
times.
I mean, always a lot of fun, and I think that we got some hijinks ahead of us, right? Based on the way they're framing these episodes. Yeah.
It makes sense in the pacing with coming off that
Yeah.
super high of the previous episode.
Right.
Now we got to set up for the next.
I mean, they're even introducing new cast members, right? Like, we were introduced to the reporter girls, right? The
there's I
Kaguya
forgot they had like a whole
fangirls.
segment with just them, right?
Yeah,
running
like
around.
we're introduced to like some cool looking chick from the astronomy club who talks like a yakuza.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I want to find out more about her. So it seems like once again Kaguya is doing the thing of like, you're getting familiar with these dynamics. You're starting to settle. So we're gonna start introducing new characters again to keep the dynamics fresh, which I always appreciate.
Right. And they always cash in, like they don't bring these characters usually up for no reason, like that this will come back in some capacity later.
Also, there's like a weird Player Unknown's Battleground joke in the middle of it all, like, because like there's that girl wearing that one helmet from like Player Unknown's Battleground. They even literally say you can take a headshot from a Kar 98, which I believe is the sniper rifle in that game. So,
right. Fujiwara's deranged game club that she's in,
yes,
right?
Yes.
Where for the cultural festival she just wants to shoot people. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good times.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's wrap things up by talking about Spy Family.
Hell
Yes.
yeah.
The other big contender in
Getting
this ring.
better with every episode, I
Yes.
feel like.
One could say the real Spy Family starts here.
Yeah. Again, Artemis, you have not had a chance to talk about this. I take it by the hell yeah you've been enjoying Spy Family.
It is the most elegant.
Such elegance.
Elegant.
Yeah, I mean, like, what can I say? I have been listening to you guys' previous podcasts, and I just, I pretty much echo everything that you guys have said previously about the show. It's really good.
Yeah. They've taken fantastic source material and they've done a great job of adapting it. I wouldn't. I'm not gonna call it like an easy slam dunk, right? Of course, anime still takes a lot of work to make, but like if they could just keep up the pace and the energy of like what they've been doing so far, like it's smooth sailing. Like,
I mean we've seen plenty of slam dunks get missed, so yeah.
I haven't read the manga, so I don't know. I assume it's relatively faithful.
Yeah,
yes,
I would say so.
Yeah, it's been a fantastic adaptation of that stuff.
Yeah. So
they did the first of these 2 episodes as much justice as I could hope for.
yeah. So
the face.
we get Anya has
The
made
face.
it
into school.
Anya has made it into the big school, into Eden.
Anya and her top tier anime faces have made it in. Yep.
The greatest anime faces perhaps of all time. And yeah, I guess the attention kind of shifts to her, and I love it's. I mean, Anya's the best, like on
she's
every
great. Yeah.
capacity. But it's so adorable how like because she has read Lloyd's mind and knows the mission, she now feels like she has to carry out the mission.
Yes,
But she's also only like a 4-year-old child or whatever.
Yeah,
It's pretty great.
we are introduced to some new characters, from the school. Becky, which is Anya's new female friend, and Damien Desmond,
the target, right?
as the manga translates him, the Scion boy, the scion of the Desmond family.
Right, and the one that Lloyd is targeting basically to get to his father.
And
right?
naturally, Anya does the worst possible job of making a first impression with him.
Of course.
She's doing her best, okay?
Quite
Yeah.
literally the worst possible outcome
She's doing
imaginable.
her best.
But with the best of intentions.
Yes, it's just, it's very good, right? But it's like just watching Lloyd's face when Anya comes home, not only with a fucking Tonitrus bolt, but also having punched Damien in the face, is like...
It does lead to
Excellent.
possibly the single greatest anime face of all time.
Yes.
The
Yes.
The face in which Anya's doing her best to remember what Yor taught her about when
Yor's
you
lessons
should
about putting on a smile.
yes, when you should or should not punch people.
Yes.
And, she does her best she tries as long as possible not to punch Damien, but damn it, it's hard.
Yeah, he makes
She
it.
holds
he makes
out
it,
for a long time.
He makes it so easy. In all fairness, he makes it so easy to get punched.
Yes.
Yes.
He's a little shit, and
The very, very well animated punch scene.
yeah. And also, very good bit of just like when he gets punched into a trash can and Henderson runs back and Anya's just like he ran into he stretched out my hand and he ran into
He
my
ran
fist.
into my fist.
Very good.
She's scrambling for any justification. So,
man. Very good. Yeah.
So
Just,
yeah, I mean, I think now that we've kind of settled into the the next phase of the operation here,
Yeah.
and I feel like we now finally maybe you guys would know better because you've read the manga, but I feel like we now understand the scope of what the show is.
Yeah.
Right, at this point.
This is kind of Spy Family proper now. This is kind of the format we were getting, right? Of the balancing of the double lives while Anya is attending school.
Yes.
Right.
Plenty of room for various shenanigans
Yes.
on focusing on whichever character has to keep a secret this week.
Yes.
Right.
We get a lot of good Lloyd infiltrating the school, like trying to get Anya to apologize, but she keeps getting interrupted. He keeps doing all this fucking crazy shit, like mirror, like reflecting with a mirror a message on the ground.
It's like, is that
Putting,
a message from God?
writing sorry on her omudaisa. Like,
altering her textbook, all this shit. It's so good, just. And like it doesn't think it takes the premise like okay, we take your like James Bond super spy and now we put him in like the most fucking like comically absurd situation possible, and it just works really well. Like it's like the latest episode is maybe a little bit more serious, right? Because it also gets into Lloyd's struggles as a parent. But in general, I think that this latest episode is a good like encapsulated example of just kind of what the spirit of Spy Family is going to be going forward.
Yeah, and I think, while I would classify comedy as Spy Family as a comedy, like it does have the more like kind of emotional elements to it, right? It's not just the comedy, so that's fine.
Yeah, it has all the especially the child kind of heartwarmingness of Usagi Drop, but in a comedy / political thriller format, I guess.
Right,
Which is very weird to say, I know, but
yeah, but
yes, but it works.
they find a way to
works.
make it work.
it really works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you get the kind of the second half of this episode, right, where Lloyd is like trying to get
Study.
Anya to learn her
You
division.
need the stars.
Right.
Yeah.
The what?
The stellar stars.
Yes, yes, we mentioned yes, because yes, the other way this plan will work is if Anya can get 7 or
Right,
8
you get to attend the
Stella
exclusive
Stars.
party for the top
Yes,
students.
yes. And in relation to the Tonitrus Bolt I mentioned, if you get 7 demerits, you are expelled.
Right.
And, Anya is in the first grade of school, and she has one already.
Yes.
That was her first day of school. Yeah.
Yeah, at this rate,
Yeah.
yeah, it's it's not looking good.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, so yes, we have a bit of like Lloyd, like, because he's still he's still concerned about the mission, right? About world peace, right? And he's like trying to like be a bit more strict with Anya, be like, no, you gotta learn your you gotta learn your math, like you gotta like get this into your head because world peace is on the line here, right? And you have that good bit with Yor, who kind of like gets into like. I won't spoil anything, but for Iro and I who have read the manga, Yor giving her advice about how she raised her brother is, in hindsight,
Very,
you
very
guys are going
funny.
to realize in the next episode is a setup for maybe the funniest joke in the anime.
Yes,
is
because
how
we have seen that we're gonna meet her brother next.
Yeah, the
Yes.
preview. Yeah.
and you are seeing Yor's recollection of how she raised her brother.
Perhaps not.
I guess we'll find
And
out.
Not
I guess-
reflecting the reality
And,
accurately.
but she does give genuinely good advice in the form of like, instead of like punishing a kid, maybe you should praise them for when they've done it right.
Right.
You know?
Positive reinforcement is much
Positive
more effective.
reinforcement. Yeah, right.
I thought
like-
I thought you were going to talk about the gingerbread like cookie analogy.
Oh,
It's
well,
like here's how you do fractions. If you dissect.
Cut one arm off. That's 1/4.
Oh,
of
but
all
wait,
the
what about his
limbs.
head?
Yeah.
No, that's not right.
Now this
Yeah.
5 looks like an S.
Right. I mean,
I love-
that's Yor's main joke, right? How she's basically, nice, sweet Sayori Hayami, but she also is always thinking about murder.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
also just super airheaded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just yes, Anya realizing that she cannot cheat her way through school by reading minds because it doesn't quite work that way. It's very
Yeah.
good. But yeah, I guess all to really say about that is next episode we'll begin to meet the extended spy family, so to speak. Right?
I'm there
Anya
for
has
it.
an uncle,
Yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
an uncle who
Doesn't know that his sister got married.
and,
Right. That's where we kind of leave off at the end.
I look forward to every episode, but I'm
an uncle
especially
who
looking
maybe
forward to this.
works for
Who knows? They said he's a
Yeah.
government worker. They said.
The government, right?
who
Yeah.
works for the government. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to we'll cut it off there before anything gets spoiled.
Yeah.
But,
I'll just say that like this show's great,
Yeah.
and they've done a great job of nailing it. Again, just it's well made. They've really captured the jokes right. Like it's one thing that it's one thing to just like accurately draw the jokes as they were. It's another thing to like make sure you nail the timing and the motion of
Sell
it.
them
right?
properly.
Like,
Like they do the
I think that's-
whole flashback montage of Anya or Damien
Yes.
goes like, "Oh, all that time she was looking at me, she was so desperate to apologize," and we get all the same shots but with the extra shoujo filter over the top.
Yes, the Anya, the Damien vision, the
Right.
Damien
And that's
shoujo.
like that's like
vision,
a thing
right?
they
Like,
didn't have to do, but is
yeah.
able to elevate it.
right.
in-
They could
in
they
anime
could have just
form.
shown those
Yeah.
shots with like a filter on them or something, right?
Yeah,
they,
but instead, like
actually
her
redo
eyes
them
have
with the-
literally
yeah.
been redrawn to be bigger, and
Yeah.
even bigger and shinier than Anya's eyes already are. Her hair is drawn with extra detail.
Yeah.
right.
It's very good. Oh man,
times.
that poor kid. He's Damien's a little shit, but also
Yeah.
yeah, that kid's got some
He's whipped, yeah.
ordeals ahead of him.
All right. Well, I think that's gonna do it then for our list.
Indeed.
We kept it under 2 hours. So let's do our housekeeping. You can check us out at theglorioblog.com. Follow us on Twitter at theglorioblog. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean, Stitcher, and of course YouTube, where you can like, comment, subscribe, ring that bell, tell us how you feel, all that good stuff. You can, tell your friends, tell your enemies. We'll catch your brain next time.